Yeah, I mean, inspired by, the hip hop greats, it's just a matter of trying to find the gap in between the notes for the kick, snare and hi-hat, moving elements around, making sure you don't over quantize things. Most of the drums on the album are cut up breaks and samples and sort of overlaid with some percussion. I mean, one little trick is to just recording your own production, little shaky egg or a maracas or something like that. If you overlay that on a track, it instantly creates this kind of live movement that isn't quantized. And I did that a lot, always recording my own claps. So layers and layers. Sometimes I might do this. There's tracks that have got like me clapping 16 times on top of each other, which you get that movement because you never bang on, and you just get this like a real loose thing. So there's little tricks like that you can easily do on your own, just using a cheapish mic. I've just got like little Rode NT1 mic, and that gives it movement. So you get away from the quantized feel. Still end up, normally the kick and the snare are kind of quantized, but it's all where the hi-hats are sitting and then that's how you get the groove. I guess the tracks, when I'm working on them, they go through kind of phases. The first sort of phase is where I'm just piling layers and layers of stuff up on top of each other, finding what samples work really nicely together. Always end up with, normally it's like an 8-bar loop. So I'm just looping, piling more and more stuff in, sort of working out what fits together and ending up with way too much. And I'm like, it's just, oh my God. So then the next point is just trying to refine it, and you end up, working out which ones work really nicely with each other, and just spending as much time as it took to get to that maximal point, like stripping everything back, being confident enough to say sort of no to certain elements that you think, oh, but I really like that. But then you say, but that doesn't quite work with that. So you have to say, right, no, you're going. It's a bit like deleting tracks, you never kind of finish. Sometimes it just has to be done. And then, trust your instincts to be able to sort of get back to the bare bones with the thing that the ear sort of really, hopefully latches onto, Building stuff, normally I find that I'm just kind of building a track. My tracks tend to start off more minimal and then naturally just get a bit busier and busier. But in some instances, you don't have to do that. You can you can use drum fills, or you can use processing to sort of do subtle little changes. Not huge white noise risers, but it's like a similar effect, but a little bit more subtle. There's a track called Doors of Your Heart on the album, which does that actually. It's a kind of a funky drum break thing that I've cut up, and then to keep the interest, because there's not that much going on. There's musical parts, but there's I use some processing. So there's this thing called Stutter Edit, which is a really nice plugin that it's actually like very EDM orientated plugin, but it works really nicely on drums. You can just throw your drum breaks through it, and you'll hear it gets a bit of that old Square Pusher and Aphex Twin vibe. So they're quite subtle, but there's constantly some little element that's changing, so you're not just listening to the same breakbeat, just static. There's a couple of other plugins that I tend to turn to when I want things to be constantly morphing in the background. There's a really nice synth plugin called Obscurium, which I use quite a bit on the album, and that's just it's a synth that is just evolving a bit like an old Korg wave station or something, it's just moving. Even just for a minute, it will be constantly sort of moving around. Obscurium. So there's a couple of plugins that I would say have been central in this album that I've come back to on quite a few of the tracks.